Something for you to screen capture. I'm trying to put it in the discussion. So we have our website up. The online platform is internetgovernance.moodle.school. We have our FAQs on our website. We have a Facebook page and our two emails. Mine is info@virtualsig.org and Alfredo is registration@virtualsig.org. So I think that's it. And I think if we can hand it over to you, Alfredo, so that we can give you a live demonstration. There we go.
Okay, and you see the website?
Yep.
Okay, great. So when you use the address that you saw on the last slide, internetgovernance.moodle.school, it'll take you to this site where you're not logged in yet. If you look at the top frame from right to left, you see there's a button there that says log in. Then you have the content that the content that's built in the platform is in English. You can change that to Spanish, not the actual content that we've put in that can't be changed if it's hard-coded in the original language. Then you have the capability of downloading the Moodle app. As I mentioned in the presentation, this platform allows every participant to download an app to their iOS device or to their Android device. And on the left side, those three lines take you to sort of a navigation section or a dashboard, and we'll talk about that in a second. So right now, everybody, and this is without logging in, can see the courses that are available. And if we start hosting announcements, they'll be able to see them as well. So having said that, let's log in. So depending on your credentials, you'll be able to log in and see only your profile, only your content, only your progress within the course, and also your own grades. And let's log in as a student so you can see what a student actually sees, which is what the beta testers actually see. Okay, so here we are. My name now is Student Demo, and you can see it on the right top corner. And you can also upload a photo, an image, an avatar, whatever you want. And right now, within the course, besides the student demo, Adrian Smith, who is on the call, is also logged in. So if you notice, I'll be able, according to this, I'll be able to chat with him. So I can send him a message, he can reply to me, and we can start a conversation. On the left side, you'll see the courses that I'm supposed to be taking as a student. And if we had more than one course, you'll be able to see all the courses you recently accessed. Also on the right side, you can see sort of a list of upcoming events, which we have been uploading with details. So if you click on, for example, the first one, the PIT Bolivia ICANN webinars, you click on it, it'll open a pop-up with more details, and you can gather information about that event and decide if you want to go. On the third one, you also can see the same sort of setup, and you can also add it to your calendar in this case, because it had more information, and it has a link to where you can get more information about that conference or that meeting. So let's go into the course. Now, to go into the course, you just click on the logo or the banner, and this is what you'll see. You'll see the introduction. The introduction is basically an introduction. It defines that it's a massive open online course. If you are seeking the certificate, it gives you some information of what you have to do. You can take or participate in the weekly synchronous sessions that they're going to have. And just so that those that are seeking the certificate are aware of it, they'll have to spend between 5 and 8 hours per module to look at the content that's required to take the quizzes and be able to answer the questions. As was mentioned, you can take the quizzes as many times as you wish, as long as you reach the 80% expected minimum score, you'll be able to qualify for the certificate, and I'll show you that in a second. So if we keep moving down, you'll see that there's a participant guidebook, and this participant guidebook, and thank you, Katarina, for the comments you made. It was rectified immediately. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see the actual participant guidebook because it comes up as a pop-up. So if you can see it, if you want to see it, just let us know, and probably we can send you a link to the PDF file so you can look at it. So one of the requirements, and that's the way that Glenn and I and anybody in administration is aware if you're seeking the certificate and if you agree with the code of behavior and everything else, on the right side, there's a check mark. So if you click on that check mark, that means that you are agreeing with all the information that's in the participant guidebook. You'll follow the rules of behavior, etc. Okay? Now there's also, Glenn mentioned that we're seeking donations. So there's two ways you can do it. You can send an email to Glenn or to myself if the type of donation you want to make isn't a monetary one, like in GoFundMe, where you can submit some funds or give us some funds so we can continue working. In important announcements, you'll be able to see the latest announcements regarding the course. And this is the first discussion forum that we have, getting to know the participants. Now, somebody might ask, well, how do I know which one is a discussion forum, which one is whatever? In the participant guidebook, it describes each one of the icons you can find explicitly, what it means, how to use it. So I'm not going to do that right now, but as we move on, we'll see what happens. Now, I told you before we logged in that on the left side, at the top left side, there's a dashboard. So since I'm logged in as a student, when I click on it, it'll display the navigation dashboard, all the tools that I can use to navigate through the course. So the second one, which is the list of participants, this is the list right now that we have of beta testers, and they're beta testers and everybody knows who they are because the way we set it up was that they allow us to share at least their names. Every student that we have will actually be able in their profile to decide what information they want to share with the rest of the participants. In terms of the grades, we mentioned that there's a section where if you're seeking the certificate, you'll be able to monitor your grades. So if you look at this list of quizzes represents the 10 modules you have to take. And each one has a goal of 80% to perform adequately. So that's why you see that in the column that says percentage. Everything is over 80%. And that's because this student demo, decided to pursue the certificate. So he was aware that he had to meet the 80% minimum score. And I'm going to go into the first quiz, the history of internet governance, so you can see how it looks like. And this is me as a student, and you can see that I finished it on the first attempt in this case. And I got the 17 out of 17 points, which is the maximum points you can get in this particular quiz. If I wanted to review the quiz, I'll be able to review it, see what the question was, what I answered. And here you see we have true and false questions. We have multiple choice with one correct answer. And we have a matching question in this particular module where you have to match some words with an organization based on the type of work they do. So that gives you an idea of how a quiz works. And you can see actually one question at a time if you want to look at one particular question. So going back to the history of internet governance on the left, this is the first module. The first module, which is the history of internet governance, as I said, it has a short introduction. And we took advantage of something we found in other websites. We took advantage of the ICANN acronyms and terms. So it links directly to the website where they have their acronyms and terms glossary. We have the Internet Governance Acronym Glossary, so it links directly to the latest version of the Diplo Foundation glossary. And we have the Spectrum Policy Dictionary, which was compiled or is compiled by GSMA, which is a more technical glossary. So we have that. So anybody that seeks some clarification on a concept can move to that. Now, going into the actual module itself, you can see the way it is organized. It has a list of objectives, and I'm clicking on them so you have an idea. And it states clearly that after you complete reviewing this module, a quiz is included for those pursuing the certificate, as we mentioned in the participant guidebook. There will be some discussion forum. We have the complementary resources, and you'll see them in a moment. These are the 4 objectives that we seek for this particular module on the history of internet governance. And we start off with a small list of some of the topics we're going to be covering. And here we have here we have sort of a 15 slide deck to introduce the whole idea of what is the Virtual School of Internet Governance. Some of the features that these ebooks have, because this is in a format of an ebook, you can zoom in, you can see it displayed in thumbnails, and on the right side, you'll be able to see it full screen on your computer, on your smartphone, on your tablet. And even if I have it at full screen right now, I can still use the zoom in, and I can actually look into more closely to the content. So let me get out of here. So that's regarding the objectives. Now, at the end of the objectives and of each content section, you'll see that you can go back to the previous activity, which in this case is getting to know the participants. On the right side, you can go back to the history of internet governance. And in the middle, it says jump to. Well, jump to where? You can jump all over the place. You can visit whatever module, whatever section within each module that you wish. So that's a way for those that don't like to follow rules or follow a sequence. They can skip around. As long as they are pursuing the certificate, it would be wise to follow the sequence. So going back to the history of internet governance, so we saw the objectives. Now let's go into the content itself. The content is reflected by the icon of a book. And in this case, this is the table of content. And in this case, you can see it on the right side, but that's because the resolution that I'm using is a high one, so it's squeezing things in, but I can get rid of the left dashboard and I have more space for the content. And if I increase or decrease the resolution, the table of content will move to the bottom of this main area. So in the history of internet governance, you can see that we have some videos. We indicate how long is the video. In this case, it's 4 minutes, 50 seconds. And you can download it, as I mentioned, to your device and watch it offline. This one is a 1 hour, 20-minute long video. And it's our advice that you should look at it as part of the minimum requirements for the certificate. which is the quiz. And you can see that if it's not required, we clearly state that it's not required for the certificate, but you can actually look at the content if you are interested in learning some more about the governing of the internet and some of the ideas that Professor Kleinwachter has on that issue. Going back up, to navigate through the different chapters, which are the numbers on the left, all you have to do is click on it and it'll take you to whatever content there is related to, for example, in this case, ARPANET. You'll also see that if there's a video, again, we state clearly how long is the video, so the participant that's going to watch it knows what can be expected. And we use a technique called a light bulb to give you some insight on some other areas that you might consider exploring within the content. And we actually have some tags. So the tags are sort of keywords that will take you to every section, every module where we are speaking of ARPANET, and we have used that as a tag or a keyword. So let's see what happens if I click on it. It only says that it's in the history of internet governance, although we know that it could be in other areas within the course itself. And as in any social media or content or learning platform, we have the opportunity as students, and we're giving that to you, that you can edit the tag. You can say that it's inappropriate, or you can add it to something that you might be interested in looking further into later on. So going back, oops, I'm sorry, I clicked on the wrong button. So we're in the history of internet governance, and you can see that each one of the chapters also has, well, most of the chapters have some sections. Let's see it. For example, chapter 6, if you go and click on chapter 6, there's a short introduction to the chapter. And then within the chapter, there's different sections. And for example, there's introducing the timeline of ICT, Internet, Information and Communication Technology. So we're talking now specifically about that, and we're giving you some more information on that topic. And right here, you can see that there's some breadcrumbs, and these breadcrumbs help you also navigate through the course. Let's see now. As you notice already, this icon represents a discussion forum or a discussion thread. So in this particular case, actually, Glenn and I started 2 discussion threads, one on universal acceptance and another one on the history of internet governance. And you can see on the right side here that each participant can or cannot subscribe to a particular discussion forum and thread. So it's not that it's required, it's suggested. It's a suggestion so that you'll be able to exchange updated information. In each one of the discussion forums, we added something that might interest some of the participants, which is our philosophy is that we don't know everything. We don't have all the information in our course. So we're asking the participants to share whatever resource they believe could be enriching the course, will help us make it richer, make it more pertinent to more participants or a wider audience. And and I'm not sure you're going to be able to see the form, but there's a Google form, and that Google form gives you some details on how to submit your suggestion. Going back to the history of internet governance, now we have the quiz, and you'll notice that on the right side, there's a check mark, there's a green check mark. Now that means that students' demo completed successfully meeting the threshold of 80% on that quiz. So he doesn't have to take it again because he met it. If he didn't meet that threshold of 80%, instead of a check mark, a green check mark, it would be red, indicating that he has to review or retake the quiz. And as we've mentioned, you can take them as many times as you need to take them in order to meet the minimum requirement if you're seeking the certificate of completion. Complementary resources. Each module has a list of complementary resources following the same format or similar format as the book content. We have links, we have ebooks, we have videos regarding all the topics that are covered within each one of the modules. So here, for example, we have founding fathers of the internet, because we actually don't talk necessarily about all of them, but you can click here and read more or find some more information on each one. And as we go down, you'll see some reference to different groups or organizations that do research within the internet governance environment. And we also reinforce that some of the resources that we have in the content itself here in the complementary resources in case you skip them. So you can see that this is an extensive list of complementary resources that is updated constantly. And on the bottom, you'll see the last date it was modified or updated. And that format will be throughout the course in each one of the modules. So we said that we could go back at the end of each activity or section, or we can move forward. So forward is the chat space. And that's the next activity that's within the first module, and as mentioned in each one of the modules. So here we have current users. We have Lynn that for 18 minutes hasn't done anything, but we have Adrian as well. And if we click here to enter the chat, we'll see all the participants that are actively right now are logged in, and we can start chatting back and forth. Okay, it's simple, easy to use, intuitive, and you can do this on your mobile device as well. So now going forward, let's see what happens. So the last thing we have within each module is what we call the live chat or the live session. You'll notice that right now, since the moderator, which is the teacher or the person in charge, is not within the live session right now, I can't join. But if the moderator, in this case, Glenn or myself, as administrators or teachers were logged in, I, as a student, would be able to log in as well. But right now I can't do it because the teacher is not logged in. So going back to the history of internet governance, that gives you an idea of the different sections that we have in that unit or that module. It replicates through the whole course on each one of the modules. We try to state how long, how much time you have to invest in each one, and we'll keep on repeating that throughout the different sections. So like, for example, in infrastructure, you'll have here the objectives, how much time you're expected to spend, 5 to 6 hours on this module. Why 5 to 6 hours? Well, because we were very strict selecting the material that is required for the certificate. And that's sort of an introduction to that infrastructure module. And if you want to see the actual content, here's the actual content. There's an introduction, and we divided this one into different chapters, one on telecommunication, one on transport or protocols, and one on internet layer, application layer, and fragmented internet. And this, we actually need to thank Eduardo he looked at it as an engineer and told us, look, you have to redo the whole thing. Well, not in those words, but we knew what he meant, and we actually did. So thank you, Eduardo, for all the...
Thank you. Mira, Alfredo, we're getting to the top of the hour.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Give me just one more second, and I'm going to go to the end because I want to show you what happens when a participant completes all the quizzes with 80%. This won't be visible until the student clicks on the participant guidebook and takes all the quizzes and meets the threshold of 80%. Then he'll be able to see the certificate, and the certificate will be generated based on, and let me see if I can show it to you. No, I don't think I'll be able to show it to you. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Can you see the certificate?
Yep.
Okay, so you'll see that this is the certificate that the student will get once he meets all the minimum requirements of the course. And on the left, on the right side at the bottom, it has a unique identifier so that anyone that is requesting more information about this particular student can review that.